Hi, and welcome to this recorded workshop on finding resources for your assignment. Whether you're new to university or just want to get better at searching for credible sources, this session is designed for you. I'll walk you through how to plan your search using different search tools, and we'll touch on how to choose good quality sources. Let's get started. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and pay my respect to elders past and present. I'm speaking to you today from Larrakia country, here in the Northern Territory, and I want to recognise their continuing connection to land, waters, and community. As we work through the workshop today, it can be helpful to keep these goals in mind to evaluate your knowledge before, during, and after this recorded session. At the end of today's workshop, you should know the types of sources and where to search, how to create a search strategy, what are some search techniques, the different search tools and how they work, and how to evaluate your resources. Let's discuss the types of sources first. One of the main types of sources, and what we see a lot of in our everyday life, are popular sources. Popular sources, as the name implies, are popular to the public and are seen as something to entertain, inform, and in some cases mislead a wide audience. They are made by people within industry for the general public to inform them about current events and pop culture, and these sit mainly in the surface web. This is our everyday search area, our social media, our Google searches, what we see on our feeds and in our apps. Now the next source is a trade source. Trade sources are made by industry for industry, and they're often made so that they are to inform about new technologies, new trends, new initiatives that can affect the industry and the people within it. Our third type of source, and what you need to get comfortable with working at university, is the scholarly source, or academic sources. These are made by experts in the area, generally researchers, for other researchers. This means that they can include difficult language and can be a bit harder to find and to understand, but they are a very important type of resource when we're writing academic assignments. Talking about types of sources, it can be helpful to know where you need to search. Now, for a lot of our popular and trade sources, we'll find them with a normal Google search. This has a lot of information, millions upon millions upon millions of results, that can make it hard to wade through all this information and find what's useful. Resources include web pages, government reports, and even videos. Now, when we're looking for more of our scholarly resources, we're going to use the tools that are going to best suit that purpose. This includes Google Scholar and Library Search. This has a lot of our academic literature, things like journal articles, our textbooks, and even conference proceedings. If you're looking for more topical research, you might choose to search in one of our databases. Similar to Google Scholar and Library Search, this holds a lot of academic and research information. But by choosing a database, you can get a lot more specific with the topics and areas of interest in which you would be searching. Now, when it comes time to search, we want to have an idea in mind of what we want to find. Otherwise, it's really difficult to find good quality sources. So the first step is to understand your topic or your research focus. What are you actually looking for? What do you already know? And what do you need to know? From there, we want to identify the keywords and other related terms. What concepts are important to this assignment or this bit of research? Once we have some of our terms together, we want to combine them so that we can give the tool options using what's called Boolean operators. We then want to pick a tool and start searching. Have a look around. What's out there? What other terms are people using? What sort of focus is there? And from there, we want to adjust and refine the search as needed. You're not going to have the perfect search on the first try. Being able to adjust and change your search is a really important skill. So what do these steps actually look like? Let's talk about understanding your topic. Understanding your topic means knowing what you need to search for so that when you are finding resources, you can identify whether or not they're going to be helpful. This means things like understanding your research, defining the scope of the project, and clarifying any questions that you might have in the process. Break down your topic. Really consider, what is the main research question? What are the key concepts and themes? Are there any limits? Have you been asked to do it on a specific location, like Australia or the Northern Territory? Is there any time frame? Should it be research in the last 10 years? Are there any existing studies out there, any debates or gaps in the literature that you need to explore? Bringing your own unique perspective to these ideas can really help to enhance that research, and understanding what's currently there can help you identify what else needs to be done. The more that you understand your topic, the easier it is to break it down into key terms. Now, keywords are the main concepts for the research on which you're writing. When you're entering your keywords into a search tool, like Google, Google Scholar, Library Search, or a database, these tools look for the words in the titles, the abstracts, and sometimes even the full text. It's a bit like pattern matching. The more that you're specifying your keywords, the more particular the search tool has to be about what resources it's providing you. When you use the right keywords and the right combination of keywords to create a really strong search, it can really help you to find those resources that are going to benefit you and your research the most. We recommend starting with 5 to 7 key terms. Break down your research focus and try to bring it into these main concepts so that when you start searching, you have related results already. Let's have a look at an example. Say you have a topic like this. Now, it might be one that you've come up with yourself as part of a research project or thesis, or it might be one that's being provided to you as a part of your assignment description. And what we want to do is, once we have this sort of description, we break it down into those concepts. So looking at this topic, we might focus on augmented reality, user experience, smart cities, urban infrastructure, the application of the AR, usability, and design challenges. By breaking it down into these main concepts, I can now begin to investigate this research topic, understanding what are the main concepts and themes and ideas, what's currently out there, and what gaps might I need to address when I'm talking about this research and the overall context. When we're looking at these main concepts, it can also be helpful to note down some related terms or synonyms for each of these main keywords. For example, instead of augmented reality, we may say AR or mixed reality. Instead of looking at user experience, we might look at UX design or user engagement. By having these alternative terms, it can help us to find more results, because when we're using tools that are very specific with the keywords, sometimes we can get too narrow in our search, and having alternative keywords can help us to broaden it out. As you begin to build your search strategy and find more keywords, related terms, and synonyms, make sure to keep track of your search terms. Depending on how best you organize and think, you might be someone who likes to use tables or grids. These can be easily made in an Excel spreadsheet or in a Word document. And you can see we have the main keyword on the left and related key terms on the right. If you're a more visual learner, you may like to make a mind map, using colors and shapes to graph and connect related concepts. You can just as easily create a simple keyword concept in anything like PowerPoint or Microsoft Word using the Smart Art charts. This one here took only a few minutes to prepare, and along the top we have our main key terms, and then underneath related terms. Finding what works for you is the most important thing. Making sure to keep track of your search terms means that searching in the future, both in this assignment, other assignments, and other units, is going to be much easier because you have a record of the information that you're looking for. Now that we understand how to search, let's talk about the tools that we can use to do so. First is Google Advanced. Google Advanced can be found in Google by going to the settings at the bottom of the main screen or by Googling Google Advanced. Similar to Google Search, Google gives you access to the billions of different resources available on the web. However, Google Advanced lets us get more particular with the way in which we search. We can do things by adding keywords, using all of these words, exact word or phrases, and even specifying whether or not words should be included at all. So if you're doing Indigenous research and you're finding a lot of Canadian results, you might like to use this tool to specify none of these words and Canada or Canadian. Another feature of Advanced Search is that you can specify the language, the region, and the update date for when these resources are available. You might also be interested in the site or domain option here. Site or domain searching means that you can specify where the tool will search. You could add a .gov.au or a .edu.au, and what that means is that when you go to search, all of the results will be from that type of domain. This can be used for the endings like .gov.au, or it can be used for a specific website. When you're ready to start searching for more academic resources, you want to move to a tool like Google Scholar. Now, one of the first things you want to do on Google Scholar is set it up so you have your library linked to the Google Scholar account. You have the instructions there on screen. Pretty simply, go to the three lines, go to Settings and then Library Links, search for Charles Darwin University, tick the box and save. What this means is when you run a search in Google Scholar, as you can see here, on the right-hand side, there's an option for Full Text at CDU. What this means is when an article is available through the CDU library, as in we give you access to read it, you'll see this link appear, which means you can click that link and go straight into reading the article without running into any paywalls or pay-to-read issues. Google Scholar is incredibly broad. It indexes everything it can get its hands on the academic web, and while this can be useful for an environmental scan or other broad searches, it can make it quite difficult if you need to narrow down your topic. And it means that you don't always have access to the resources that it shows you. Sometimes you're going to run into an article that you just can't read. In that case, please either try to get access to the article or find a similar or better article to use instead. You never want to use just the abstract. This can cause problems not just with your own understanding, but potentially with academic integrity and your grades. Now, when you run a Google Scholar search, it's a pretty basic interface, and it looks very similar to a normal Google search. We have our search bar at the top where we can place our key terms, and then we have the results underneath with links to access. On the left, we have minor filters, including a date range, and how to sort, by relevance or by date. Google Scholar doesn't have overly advanced filtering capabilities. Its intention is to provide you as many resources as possible, and one of the features that Google Scholar does have is that it's quite intuitive and provides recommendations based on your search or similar articles. This can be incredibly helpful if you do have a narrow topic, because it broadens the search without you having to add extra terms or specify new constraints. But it can make it quite difficult if you do have a very broad search already, or if you're getting results that just aren't relevant, but Google Scholar keeps providing them because it's trying to be helpful. While Google Scholar is great and suits a lot of students' needs, you may like to try CDU Library Search. This is available on your CDU portal, the Lavender Library tile, or by searching CDU Library on a search engine. One of the first things you'll note when you open this page is the CDU Library Gateway. This search box gives you access to the hundreds of thousands of resources available in our collection, mostly digital, but there are some physical resources as well. By using the search box here, you can find textbooks, journal articles, conference proceedings, and a lot more. If you're interested, you can also use the Advanced Search option, which allows you to use more advanced search techniques like Boolean operators and things like truncation, which we'll discuss more in our database searching class. You'll also note that we have a link to the databases underneath the search bar. We also have access to the reading list. which you'll be able to find all of the units that have reading lists in which you're enrolled, and also our digital collections. Make sure to check out these options. Have a look, go for a bit of an explore, and understand how this tool works. When you're ready to start searching, pop some of your keywords into the search box and press search to begin. You'll see a screen like this. Up the top we have our search with our keywords. On the upper right corner, see the note that says make sure you're logged in. In order to access the resources available in our library, make sure that you're logged in through your CDU account. This will authenticate you and provide you access. As you're running your search, you'll see, quite similar to Google Scholar, we have the resources underneath. You can have a look through and begin browsing, or consider adding some filters on the left-hand side. Some of the most important filters you might choose to add is Available Online, which will allow you to read things right now direct from your laptop. Select journal articles if you have been asked to find journal articles for academic research, and you can also set a date range. Given that a lot of research needs to be current, you might set a date range for the last 5 to 10 years. If your lecturer has specifically requested a date range, make sure to include that here. Other options in these filters include things like peer-reviewed journals, looking for subject headings, and even browsing through some of the journals that are available that are holding these articles that you've found. Now, when you are beginning to reference these, have a look at the reference suggestions provided within the tool. Note that these are suggestions. You still need to be able to correct them, which means understanding your referencing style. When you're ready to read the resources, have a look for the options underneath the resource title, where it talks about downloading, the full text being available online, or in the case that you have run across an article or other resource that we don't have, it will talk about requesting it. Another reason it's important to be logged in, because this will allow you to request things through your CDU Library account. If you're going to use CDU Library Search, you may want to consider using Advanced Search as well. As we saw before, this is available in the button next to the search bar. Using Advanced Search isn't harder, it's just more visual. If you're someone who's going to be using nesting, Boolean operators, and other search techniques like truncation, you may want to consider using Advanced Search. As we can see here, similar terms are kept on one line, and then different concepts are joined to it. For example, on line 1, we have the concepts for augmented reality, or AR, or mixed reality, and then we join it on the next line with different terms, in this case privacy or security, and then our next line is looking at threats, or risks, or issues, or concerns. You can easily add a new line, as many as you'd like, to help you narrow and focus your topic. Once you're ready, click Search, and then adjust your results as you go, depending on the results, what is included, and what you might be missing. If you are conducting more advanced research, or you've been asked to try databases by your lecturer or supervisor, have a look at the CDU databases list. This is available from the button underneath the search bar on the main library homepage, or by selecting A to Z databases in the options at the top of CDU Library Search. The database list holds a record of all the databases that the CDU library subscribes to, and while you can either choose to look through it alphabetically, you can also search for a specific database, or if you're uncertain about where you might want to look but you know your topic or discipline, you might want to have a look at the All Subjects filters. From here you can filter down to different types of databases and disciplines, such as nursing and midwifery, or engineering. By selecting your topic and choosing a database that aligns with that subject, you will already get more specific results than the broader searches that you run in Google Scholar and Library Search. If you're interested in learning more about databases, including how they work and how best to search them, consider coming along to one of our database searching workshops, where we dive in depth into different subject-specific databases and show you the ins and outs, how you can get the most out of the databases to improve your research. While you're doing your research, you can also consider what's known as snowball or cascade techniques, also called citation tracking. These techniques, available in Google Scholar, Library Search, and select databases, are different kinds of tools that will allow you to search for articles based off of what an article has referenced, who has referenced them after the fact, or even related articles. Citation tracking can be a really helpful way to find results without having to do traditional searching using keywords and other techniques. It can be a really fast and really speedy way to get an idea of the research landscape and see what some of the prominent articles and research is in a specific area. As you are conducting research, it's important to keep in mind that you need to be evaluating the resources that you're finding. We have two mnemonics that we like to use for this. The first is SIFT. This is the process you go through where you stop, you investigate the source that you're reading. If you're not quite sure if you can trust it, you find better coverage, and if it does have any information, quotes, or any data that you need to track to the original source, make sure to do so that we get your interpretation of the original content and not your interpretation of an interpretation. The second mnemonic that we use helps us discover some questions to ask when we're looking at a resource. We use the mnemonic TRAP: timeliness, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. Pretty much when we're looking at this TRAP mnemonic, we're asking, when was the resource created? Is it actually relevant to my research and my topic? Is the information that it's including accurate? Who is the authority who wrote it? Are they trustworthy? Are they an expert? And then the purpose. Why was this resource created? Was it created to entertain, to inform, to mislead, or to push new research barriers? Understanding our sources, why they're created, what the information is, and how we know we can trust it, is really important for building on this research and finding credible sources that back us up, but also improve our own quality of research. Thank you for coming along with us today. Hopefully some of the information and tips in this workshop were helpful for you. If you have any questions in future, feel free to reach out to the CDU Library. You can email us at askthelibrary@cdu.edu.au, give us a call, a text, or if you're near a campus, pop in and say hi. On the left of the screen there, you can see some options for exploring further resources. Make sure to have a look through the CDU Library website. There's a lot of information and resources there that are to help you for your assignments, your research, and with your academic skills. You can also sign up to attend a workshop in person or online, a live workshop in which you can interact and ask questions. You can book a librarian appointment if you'd like to talk one-on-one and get some help with your search strategy, your systematic review, your protocol, or any research questions. Have a look through our workshop recordings guide as well. This has other workshops that have been recorded and provided to you to help you when you need some independent research and some time to understand and learn the skills to help you succeed at university. Have a fantastic day, and please reach out if you need any help.